Brian, you ready? Is this thing recording? Your song? Oh, all right. Good morning, folks. Welcome to the very first episode of the B&B Podcast. My name is Bill.
And I'm Brian.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, Bill?
How about you just speak when I fucking tell you to, all right?
All right, man.
Anywho, it's been highly requested for quite some time now that Brian and I start our own sort of talk show.
Podcast, Bill.
Brian, I ain't going to tell you again. Anyway, it has been highly requested by our buddies down at the VFW that we get together and sort of share some of our bright ideas with the world. Now, I'll be honest with you folks, I don't know much about technology and how the internet works. Brian, are those Cheetos?
Sorry, I was getting a little hungry. I had to miss lunch earlier.
I mean, we're sitting here trying to start an internet revolution, and you're over here eating fucking Chester Cheetos. Be for real, Brian. Come on. I am sorry about that, folks. Probably not the first loose screw we're going to have here on the podcast, so just bear with us as we're learning. We're learning right along with you. So, on the first episode today, we thought we would talk about the state of our country as it is right now. We're gonna cover women of the new generation, how marriage has evolved, and we're just gonna talk a little bit about politics and sexuality, the LGBT, HIJK, LMNOP movement. We're gonna get into all that.
And if you don't mind me starting it off here today, Bill, I just want to send out my thoughts and prayers to Mr. Donald J. Trove. It was a real tragedy what happened to him a while back, and, we could have lost a hero. We really could. And it honestly, it brings a tear to my eye to even think about it. And, I really do think we're going to be a reg nation come this November.
I got to agree with you there, Brian. I really do. And, that brings up an interesting question of, do you think that this event might have changed your mind on gun control policies? If anybody can just bring in a gun and shoot down our modern day savior, is that right?
Oh, absolutely not, Bill. Everybody should be able to have a gun if they want one, and that's just kind of the gamble we take on it. If things like this happen, that's what happens. But I stand for that freedom.
Now, what about guns in the schools nowadays? That seems to be the trend, especially among, some of these mentally ill teenagers. They're just taking their daddy's rifle right into geometry class with them.
I'm going to be honest with you, Bill. I've been down to the schools. I've done my volunteering. I got my son. He's in high school right now. I've been down there. And some of these kids, I'm not afraid to say it, they might have deserved it.
Yeah, I can really believe that, Brian. I've seen the kids today. The kids today, what are they doing? The things that they're into, really, it's hard to wrap my mind around.
Yeah, exactly, Bill. That's exactly what I'm saying. Kids just aren't the same nowadays as they used to be when we were growing up.
Back in the day, we used to be real men. The boys nowadays, I was outside just last weekend. I saw a group of young men walking together, and they were playing Pokemon Go. I walked up to him. I said, "What are you boys doing today?" And I swear to God, Brian, they looked right at me and they said, "We're looking for dragons." I'm serious, Brian. They said, "We are looking for dragons." Now that just, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, back in my day, Bill, the only thing we young men were out looking for was a taste of that sweet poo tang,
You are absolutely right, Brian. And, I remember when we were kids, we used to play outside. We used to use our imaginations. I remember being a young boy and My Uncle Jim, he came back from Nam, and we used to light firecrackers under his bed at night. Scare the hell out of him, and we just had a lot of good laughs. We were just out there doing what we could.
Exactly, Bill. And kids just aren't the same anymore. They're not out there using their brains like that. And I tell you what, I am sure glad that I am raising my son better than that.
Speaking of your son, Brian, I think that brings us into our next point of the LGBT movement.
Now, what do you mean by that, Bill?
Well, it ain't no secret, Brian. Your son, he ate a few too many Skittles when he was a young boy, and the colors are showing.
Now, is this because he did that dance at the county fair? Because I'll have you know he won a blue ribbon for that.
Hey, Brian, I got nothing against the LGBT folk. They're a little kooky. We're a little kooky. It's just the way we are. And I got nothing against them. I'll be honest with you, Brian. I had a bi-curious phase myself.
Well, exactly how curious were you, Bill?
We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Jesus Christ, Bill.
Howdy, folks. Today's episode is sponsored by the Kamala Waltz campaign. And
are you fucking serious right now?
Brian, we got bills to pay, all right? You think these lights come on by themselves? That takes money, baby. And we're going to get it however we can.
All right, give them your spiel.
Today's episode is sponsored by the Kamala Waltz campaign. You can go online and donate now and vote blue in the upcoming election.
I'm going to be honest with you, Bill. That advertisement made me a little sick to my stomach.
I am sorry about that, Brian, but it had to be done. We need the money if we want to keep making more episodes. So let's just forget about that. Let's just talk about, something we love. What's something we love, Brian?
Cheetos.
No. God damn it, Brian. Enough about the Cheetos. You're looking like a damn pansy on my show sucking your fingers like that. Anyway, something we really love, Brian, is women.
That is absolutely true, Bill. We sure do love women, don't we? We're just a couple of men, a couple of boys at heart, really. I love all women, except the one I'm married to, but that's nothing.
Now, you've been making a lot of comments like that lately, Brian. What's going on with your marriage? Maybe we should delve into that a little bit.
Well, Bill, let me put it this way. Marriage is kind of like Costco. You got to work hard and spend a lot of money just to get in. And then once you're in there, you got to keep working hard. You got to keep spending money. And at some point, you just get exhausted. You go get yourself a nice big hot dog. You just sit down with a nice warm wiener. And, it makes you feel better.
I think that son of yours might be rubbing off on you, Brian.
Well, no,
you know what? We're going to go ahead and just pretend you didn't even open your mouth, Brian. A really important issue that I want to talk about is women of the new generation. I think, personally, there's a lot of good women out there. Sure, a lot of older, nice women, but something that a lot of the women of the new generation just don't understand is that it's not going to suck itself. And I think that's a core value that has been lost in this country. And that's why I intend to raise my dollars better than that. Denise and I, we got them homeschooled. We got the girls homeschooled, and, they're learning core values in this country. They're learning how to cook, how to clean. They're learning the grapefruit method. These are really important things, and it's essential that we do better for our women in this country.
Now, you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you said the grapefruit method, Bill.
That is absolutely right, Brian. I'm not going to explain it to you on air for risk of being demonetized. We got bills to pay, like I said, but, you could Google it, or I'm sure that son of yours knows a lot about it. He could probably teach you a thing or two.
I'm not too sure what you're talking about there, Bill, but I'm just going to let it slide. Yeah, I got to agree with you, though. Women these days of this new generation are just not the same as they were back when we were growing up. The women that we were chasing when we were young are not the kind of women that we ended up with. And these young girls I see out on the street there, there's just no hope for them. You got to approach them in a whole new way. It's like there's a lot for us to learn.
And whatever happened to the days when you could just beat your wife when you were mad at her? Nowadays you got to talk about it. You got to tell her how you feel. And it's supposed to make you happier that way when you communicate. You know what? I think that's a whole crock of shit. Back in the day, I remember my grandpa, whenever my grandma would piss him off, he would just dunk her head in the pool out back. Sometimes he'd leave her under there for 10 minutes, swear to God. And when she passed away in the pool, he was the happiest son of a gun for the rest of his life, and he never once talked about how he felt.
I got to agree with you there, Bill. My wife and I, we get into all these little spats once in a while. We've been married 35 years, and it happens in a long-term relationship like that. And, usually it's just trivial things. She forgot to do the dishes one day, or she wasn't comfortable with a little light ass play, just nothing major. But the other day, I was just livid. I wanted to go to the baseball game. She had some event she wanted me to go to. She was getting chemotherapy or something stupid. And that really pissed me off. And I had to sit down and I had to talk to her about how I felt. And in the end, I was still wrong somehow. And I felt like the biggest goddamn pussy. I just wanted to dick her right in the face. But no, that would make me the bad guy in this new liberal America. So I just had to talk about my feelings, swallow my pride as a man, and move on. That just don't sit right with me. The way this world is going, it's going downhill, Bill. I'll tell you what.
And that's the damn shame, Brian, and I'm really sorry that you had to miss. You missed one hell of a game. I was there. I ate a couple hot dogs in your honor, and some of them little shelled peanuts look like little baby nut sacks. They were delicious, and I thought of you the whole time they were in my mouth. And, that's a damn shame. I wish you could have been there, brother. You missed one hell of a game.
Well, Bill, speaking of dumb fucking women, I think it's time we introduce our first guest on the podcast here.
You are absolutely right, Brian. Our first guest on the podcast here, her name is Jessica. She comes all the way from Long Beach, California. She is a radical feminist here to debate on some of her opinions.
Bill and Brian, thank you so much for having me. Despite our differing viewpoints, I am actually very happy to be here. You're well-respected men, and I'm really happy to have the chance to sit down with you today.
Holy shit. Is it just me, Brian? Or does this bitch have the most annoying voice you've ever fucking heard?
Honestly, I was thinking the same thing, Bill. I got to be honest with you. My ears are bleeding right now. We might have to call the show off early. I might need to go to the emergency.
Yeah, Jessica, thanks for coming out. You're excused. Please find the exit as fast as you physically can.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I guess I'll just...
Now, we're not paying her for that shit, are we, Bill? That we can't even make any revenue off of that appearance.
Oh, absolutely not, Brian. Tell Douglas in accounting, send her a couple Arby's coupons or something, and we'll call it a day.